Welcome back to Unscripted with Nompumelelo. We often talk about power in this country, political power, economic power, corporate power, but we rarely pause to think about power in its most basic human form, the power to cook a meal without choking on smoke, the power to turn on a light so a child can study, the power to feel safe in your own home. For millions of South Africans, that power is a luxury. My guest today didn't just read about this crisis in a report, she lived it. She grew up in Marikana, where the smell of paraffin and the fear of open flames were part of daily life. But instead of leaving that reality behind, she turned back to change it. She is the Verve Clicquot Bold Future Award winner and the founder of Hakem Energies. But those titles don't quite capture her spirit. She is a community builder who is turning the township economy on its head, one gas cylinder at a time. She is here to take us behind the headlines and into the heart of the matter. Please help me welcome the woman lighting the shadows, Refilwe Sebothoma. Boo, 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 boo. Refilwe, welcome to Unscripted with myself.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I thought about inviting you and I was like, I don't know if she would come, but I'm so honored that you accepted the invite. Before we deep dive into energy poverty and policy and all the deep things that you do, one of the things that I appreciate about your work is that it's at the heart of the home.
Mm-hmm.
When you break down all the other things, it's just about a kitchen. It's just about meals. It's just about power. It's just about light. The simple things that millions of South Africa actually don't have today. But before we get into the heavy stuff, when your day has worn you out, when being CEO and founder of Hakem is like, up there and you just want Refilwe when you get home, what's the meal that just brings you close to I'm home, gives you that I am home feeling?
Funny enough, it's Putu and Inkomas. So I travel a lot, and even my helper knows if I've been away from home, when I come back, we have to eat Putu and Inkomas.
Wow, that is as simple as it gets, hey?
Yeah.
So Refilwe, who is Refilwe? Like, where was Refilwe born and who are you?
Yeah. Sure, who am I? And I think I wear so many hats, but I think the first one that I want to start with is that I'm a child of God, right? I am a child of God. I often say that I'm an ordinary girl who is helped by an extraordinary God who's helping me to do extraordinary things. And I think it's important that we start there, because I'm also recognizing, Sis Mpumi, that I cannot be Refilwe the mother, Refilwe the wife, Refilwe the CEO, unless I'm empowered by God to do the things that I'm doing. So I think at the core of it all, I'm really just a child of God who's in a massive partnership with God, who believes that God can do anything. And I think that's what fuels my faith. That's what makes me do the things that has never been done before, because I really trust and believe that we can walk with God in a powerful way.
Yeah.
So born and raised in Marikana, as you said. I'm a triplet. We born a triplet. Unfortunately, we lost our sister, our triplet sister. So it's me and my twin brother. And yeah, we grew up in a poor family, just like many of people did. But I always talk about a particular issue where we grew up seeing my mom go through abuse, physical abuse, And my dad was a very financially strong person who was taking care of the household. And eventually I got the guts to ask my mom, why are you not leaving this guy? And my mother said, I can't leave because if I leave, I can't take care of you, right?
Yeah.
And I think Osimpumi, that was my first why. That was my first purpose statement at that young age, because that helped me understand that many women stay because what are they going to do if they leave, right? And I think for me, I then thought that entrepreneurship was going to be a tool that was going to take my mom out of that situation, take me out of that situation. But I think the bigger part also make sure that my children don't ever have to go through that. And I think that's the power of breaking cycles, because then you make sure that your children and their children's children don't have to repeat the cycle, you know. So I've always really seen an entrepreneurship as a tool that can empower me, but can help me also empower women, right? So when we left my mom's house, we went to stay with my grandmother, and that's where we started facing poverty, you know. And we'll talk about energy poverty later, because that's where the whole story of Hakem comes from. But you still see these two women really being impact leaders, social leaders, sharing the little that we have with the community. And again, I thought maybe if I become a businesswoman, I'll be able to save the lives of people, empower the lives of people, but maybe do it sustainably, you know, because I think what confused me with how they did it is that if you know that we've got 2.5 kg of maize meal and you're sharing it with someone else, what do you mean? What else are we going to eat? So I've always seen business really as a tool that was going to empower me to empower people.
Sure. That's amazing. I mean, how you openly speak about being a child of God, and I think in either corporate spaces or in platforms, we barely ever do that. It's almost like you can't say that, you know. So I love how bold you are about saying that I am a child of God first and foremost. Everything else then follows through, because He is the one that gives you the ability to do the things that you're doing. So a couple of years ago, I worked for a platinum mining company. So I think our paths were going to cross one way or the other. I worked for one of the biggest platinum PGM's company in South Africa. And there was the platinum strike, the 6-month-long platinum strike, where the massacre in Marikana happened. And I practically uprooted my life here and moved to Rustenburg. So very familiar with Marikana, the community there. Spent a lot of time. I mean, I see the journalists that are powerhouses today that we used to be on the ground together when they were looking for that story. You know, it was AMCU against Lonmin, against this company and that company. So that was a defining moment for our country. Where were you around that time?
Yeah. It was actually, by the way, a defining moment for me, right? Because I came to Johannesburg and I studied, and eventually I went back and worked at Lonmin at a time, actually, for their finance. So at the time of the massacre, I was working for Lonmin.
You did? You were working there?
I was working for Lonmin at the time. And I remember it was such a strange thing, because you get home and your life has been televised, because for the whole world it was a mystery, like, oh my God.
Yes.
And for us, we had to walk through that valley of death literally every single day, you know. But I remember they then said we need to go home because of that strike. And at that time, that's when I started thinking, what am I going to do with my time, you know? And I started studying occupational health and safety, because I was in the mining space, and I knew that the mining was spending a lot of money around safety issues and all of that. So that was actually my turnaround time for entrepreneurship. So after that strike, I never went back.
You never went back.
Because then I started a business during that strike. My very first business was in health and safety. We were manufacturing personal protective equipment. So that was actually my turnaround moment.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, when you speak about your mom and your grandmother as community builders, do you realize that you take after them? Do you realize that what you're doing, although you are running a business, it's literally building up the community?
I do. And I think one of the things that still makes me very sad today is that they're both not here anymore, because I think it's something that they would enjoy watching. I think it's something that they would be so
proud of. So proud of you.
Yeah, so I think today it is probably the saddest thing about my journey. Every time I get off global stages and I'm receiving an award, especially my mom is one of the first people I wish I could call and say, look at what God has done, and you're right, it's because of them. I am who I am because of them.
Yeah. Look, I do believe that even with them not being here to experience who you've become, you are an example to your kids, but you're also an inspiration to some of us. We look at you and I'm in awe of the work that you do and the passion that you do the work with. Sometimes I think you are everywhere and I worry about you. When do you rest? When do you switch off? But it's the drive that's within you. And I love that motivation, because this is a big purpose. It's not a small purpose. And it's a purpose that lives where everyone else doesn't want to be in that space, right? They don't, it's not glamorous. It's not glamorous. So wherever Me and Khono are, they are proud of you. And you have your whys.
Yeah.
And the kids become that. Yeah. So the pride that you see in them is the same pride that you would have seen from Me and Khono. Oh, man. So when you were staying in Marikana and you're seeing the people that work at the mines, there's no doubt that people that work at the mines, there's a perception that they are rich, they've got money, they're driving these big cars. That contrast of wealth and poverty. I mean, when you saw that, what did that do to you? Like, other than driving you to say, I am going to change this?
Yeah, so I think it's difficult. And it's difficult because a lot of times in that particular space, we are really just merely trying to survive.
Yeah.
We are really just trying to survive. And I love what you talk about purpose, because I also think, because I've always measured purpose and I've always measured the impact as my result. It has always given me a different perception on what success is. And I think if people ask me what has helped me to achieve the things I'm achieving, it's probably because of that. Because I think if your purpose is not clear and your mandate is not clear, then your measurement is not going to be correct.
No, absolutely.
And if you don't know what you're measuring, social media will give you what to measure.
Yes.
And I think that's why today we find people who are unfulfilled, people who are empty, people who are rich but not wealthy, because we just don't have a very strong, compelling purpose statement for why we're doing what we need to do.
So like theory of change your life, right?
Yeah.
So that you know what to measure, the impact, spoken like a true social scientist. So energy poverty is often seen as just lack of electricity, but there's more to it than that.
There is. I think for me, Oisimpumi, and I think a lot of times we always say, I come from a poor background, but because God has blessed us and we move and we stay in the places we stay in, we become so far removed from it. And even though we say we come from it, but the reality is we have no clue, right? And I think even when because we've been running businesses for the past 15 years, and 3 years back when we wanted to get into the energy space, the reason why we went back home was for that. I think business has taught me that it's important to get real data on the ground, because sometimes we also do desktop data and we assume we know as business leaders. So we spend time back at home in the Northwest doing a lot of research, and I think that was it for me, because then we picked up that there's what we call firewood rape, where women have to go into the field to collect wood, then they are followed there by their perpetrators and they are raped. And I think it's upset that to date women have to risk their lives going to the field to collect wood so that they can come cook for their families, right? 24,000 cases of paraffin poisoning are registered in this country, because in those communities, a lot of them, they still depend on paraffin. They store paraffin on a juice bottle or cold drink bottle, and kids will assume it's something that is safe for consumption, right? 11% of premature deaths, especially for women, it's due to respiratory diseases because they inhale that smoke, right? So recently, we found a young girl who said that she can't go to school sometimes because she has to go collect wood, right? If it rains, it means they can't bath. So there's so many socio-economic dilemmas which are linked to energy poverty. So you are right, Osimpumi. Energy poverty is not about lack of electricity. It's about the missed opportunities. It's about the lives which are destroyed. It's about people dying every single day to try and survive.
And those stats are just not statistics. They are people. They are real human beings that are really dealing with this on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I grew up in the rural areas where if you don't have firewood, you don't have fire. You can't bath, you can cook. So I understand that if it's raining.
Yeah. And I think to that point, that's why I'm also a big advocate that African people have to solve African problems. South African people must solve South African problems. Township people and villagers, they need to solve their own problems, because sometimes if we have not lived through it, we don't understand it. And it becomes a political issue. It becomes a statistic issue. I mean, we have met people. We have went into a family in the Northwest 2 months ago. It's not long. And looked a mother in the face who said, my daughter went to the field and she didn't come back. She was raped and brutally murdered. You know,
just to fetch wood.
That's it. So I think we have to start being deliberate about solving our own problems.
Yeah. And I mean, we are here. We understand those problems better. I suppose we are in this rut, right, of the rhetoric that we're hearing, and perhaps then becomes difficult for people to get up and fold their sleeves so that they can get into work. And because the challenges are so many, it becomes so overwhelming for people to actually say, okay, where do I start?
Yeah.
So you've also mentioned a lot when you speak in public platforms that energy access is about dignity and not convenience.
It's a moral obligation.
That is such a heavy statement, Refilwe. And I suppose when I read this, I was like, oh gosh. I mean, we take convenience so light. We take for granted the fact that we've got access to power, to electricity. And other people, it's actually not about convenience, about survival.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, me and you, we literally have what we call a mixed energy plan, right? where
Yeah.
we've got solar, we've got gas in the house, we've got electricity. So even load shedding, it was a very far-fetched idea anyway, right? But those communities, South Africa has millions of people who are still not electrified today. Not that electricity is not working. They are not electrified.
Yeah.
For those who are electrified, they cannot afford electricity.
Yes.
If you're in the township and in the villages, then you have load reduction, meaning sometimes 3 weeks you don't have access to electricity. So the other day we went into a community and we were doing surveys, and we stopped a mother and said to a mother, can we talk to you about clean cooking and that mother said, I don't have money to feed my kids. They go into the nearest community organization to go get their meal. And if I do this interview with you, I'm going to miss the line, and it means my kids are not going to eat after school. And that's what happens in those communities. People are merely just trying to survive. Parents are merely just trying to make sure that their children eat at the end of the day.
Sure, that is heavy. That is heavy. And the West is talking about decarbonization. Decarbonization, because they've used all our coal, right? Not all of it. We still have coal. They've used our coal to basically develop themselves, or coal from anywhere else in the world for that matter. But they are expecting society in South Africa to turn a blind eye to the socioeconomic factors in our country and say, we don't need coal, we want to decarbonize, we want renewables. I mean, based on the work that you do, how feasible is it to roll out renewables to everyone in South Africa, everyone that does not have electricity right now?
So I'm very practical. Even when I mentor young businesses, I talk about the practicality of business concepts. And I think from an energy transition perspective, my argument has always been that there is an African context of energy transition. And we cannot talk, I still have to find myself defending that LPG has fossil fuel, therefore it's not clean. And bluntly, it doesn't matter. If LPG can save a woman from being murdered when they go to the field, if LPG can make sure that a young girl go to school and improve their results so that they can have a better chance, if LPG can make sure that a toddler doesn't die from paraffin poisoning, then we've done our work. And that is the true concept and reality of African transition.
You know, my former boss used to say, what good is it for you to have light, or for you to breathe clean air when you don't have light?
No, absolutely.
And I remember that statement because I'm also just wondering, honestly speaking, if I had to choose between the two, what would I choose? And I do believe that the West, or the people that mostly advocate for decarbonization, are people who actually have never even set foot in mining towns. Mpumalanga, for instance. These conversations happen out there.
Absolutely.
But when you go to the community, for those of us that work in the community, when you go to the community and you say just energy transition, they're like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to survive today.
Absolutely. And I think, Mpumi, that's why it's also important to integrate what I call last mile strategic implementers. These are community entrepreneurs. We have to integrate them into the work. Because to your point, women don't care what just energy transition is. They don't even understand it. They don't want to understand it. What they want to understand is, what are you saying and how is it going to help my family to survive better? Right? So I think that's also quite critical.
So, I think you've demonstrated how women become victims of energy poverty. Like, I've never heard of anyone sharing a story of a man that went to the field to go fetch wood and they never came back because something happened to them. It's mostly women. It's mostly women. And you're right when you say that we need to find solutions, and those solutions are going to come from women.
Absolutely.
Women like yourself.
Absolutely. Osimpumi, there is no better advocate or no better solution bearer than the person who has gone through the pain themselves.
Yeah.
If you look at the biggest women who are leading movements, it's because they went through that pain themselves. And they can bring practical, implementable solutions because they know. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that business does is that we assume they don't know. We assume they are stupid. And I always say that women in those communities, they know exactly what needs to be done. They have the solutions. They just don't have the financial resources to
and
actually.
we never ask them. We never
ask them.
Yeah,
and the reason why even a lot of community projects don't work, right, is because we don't talk to them, we don't engage them, they are not part of the solution. So why must they care, right? So I think it's a massive lesson, but also for me, it's a leadership issue because leadership, it has to have a massive amount of humility because humility allows you to do that. It's humility that allows you to go on the ground and sit down with that gogo and find out what the solutions are, right?
That
and
is absolutely
a lot of
true.
times when you talk about the Hakem model, that's what we did. We just didn't make assumptions. We went into those communities. We sat down with them. We partnered with chiefs and traditional leaders. We partnered with churches and community organizations. And that's why we got our data because they actually know what the solutions needs to be.
And I mean, I suppose that you also have an opportunity to educate them about the safety of LPG because in the Black community, there are these things that we are growing up being taught about things that because we are not familiar with them, therefore we like, this is dangerous. And how has that awareness and that building, rewiring, how has that worked? I'm sure you have a number of examples where people will be like, no, I'm good. I'll stick to paraffin. This is not safe.
So I think partnerships with traditional leaders, partnership with a community organization, because it's also a trust issue sometimes, right? That I grew up in Northwest, but they see me as a city girl now. So even sometimes when I come with solutions, it's like, so I think those partnerships has become very, very important. But you are right. I mean, we've partnered with so many other organizations to really make sure that LPG safety and education and awareness is at the forefront of it. And I'll give you just two examples. When we got into communities, we were told that they're not going to buy LPG because wood is cheap. The first research that we got out is that they actually pay quite a lot of money for wood because a lot of them are now scared to go to the field themselves, but the field is becoming further and further, right? So people actually pay, and they actually pay so much money. In one community, they could afford to pay 9 kgs of LPG with the price of one batch of wood. So then education becomes important because then you realize it's not an affordability issue, but it's an education issue, right? The other project that we did quite well, we started partnering with the Department of Fire and Disaster Management because they are saying that every time we get into those communities, it's when the shack is already on fire. So your approach is much more proactive because it gives us the opportunity to work together and engage and teach and help the communities to do that. And I think also, really, we've had fantastic partners from corporate South Africa. Oryx Gas is our main partner. We are their approved distributor. And really just them being able to say, we might not understand what you're doing, but we support it, we see it, and we are behind you all the way. LPGSA as an association has really been a great support, Petra DAC. So there's really been a lot of support for the work that we do. And it helps, right? It really helps. An African proverb that I love, it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So I'm really a massive believer of collaboration and partnerships. And I think it has helped us really quite well.
And that's how we met, actually.
That's how we met.
That's how we met, because you were knocking at the door. But I think I followed you first. And I was like, yeah, no, this woman is working.
Yeah.
And then we got to meet, and I'm grateful we did. And thank you so much for reaching out. I mean, I always say to people, I'm an introvert, and people don't believe it. That I'm an awkward introvert that I would not approach people and say hello. So I'm glad we met. And then 2024, here you go, like winning an award. I was so proud of you. I mean, I was watching from the sidelines, and I was like, this is super amazing. I am so proud of you. That was maybe that was not big, but I just looked at it from where I was, and I thought, this is big.
It was. Vefclico was probably the biggest recognition we've received. I mean, it's at a global level, and it's not
Yes.
just another brand, it's Vefclico.
No, yes.
So it was a massive one, and I think it also came at the right time, sis, because I think when you're starting to build businesses, it's tough. Businesses are tough. I think, and I'm the one to accept that we make it glamorous, because every time we are on social media, it's when we bought a new car.
Look, I want to start a business, and it's your fault because
we make it look.
I mean, yes,
we do. We make it look cool, and I think at the time it came as an authenticator, that award, to say, we see you. You are on the right track, and this is about to be big. That's what happened. But I think the following year, 2025. When then they took us to Reims and went to dedicate a vineyard in our name.
I saw that girl. I
get goosebumps still.
And I was like, I know her. And I think what was heartwarming was the people that you won with. Young black females who are doing amazing things.
I mean, Africa is doing well, and to see other black African women just do their thing, I always say it's the sexiest thing to just see women do their thing and do it so well. I love it. And I remember when they did that baptism and dedication of the vineyard, when I got back to my hotel room, I actually called my daughter and I said, sweetie, I want you to know that whenever life wants to tell you otherwise, you can fly to France and see a vineyard dedicated in your mom's name. And remember that there was a woman who was willing to break barriers. And you can do the same thing.
And barriers you break every day. I mean, just to move slightly away from the wall, the fact that you're in this industry, a male-dominated industry, an industry that when you're a female, you probably get frowned upon. Who are you? Who do you think you are? And how have you been handling that?
So I think self-development has been a big thing, because people might have issues with you being black, but once you're knowledgeable and you kick butt, then there's no argument with that, right? So I think that has been a big one. But also, there's a lot of other women who have went ahead of us, who have then raised their hands and said, we've paid the school fees, you don't have to pay the school fees. So I think in a lot of industries, not just energy, I've always found those women that I can really stand on their shoulders, right? But I also think then it becomes a moral obligation for me to create the same space so that those who are coming after me can find the same thing. The last thing is that I have done so much that it has become a personal decision that I will not have to prove to anybody else what I can do, what I'm capable of. Those who see what I can do, they are my people, and I'll just walk with my people.
Because you always have detractors, hey? You always have detractors. And it's so strange that, and I've always found this, that you hear a lot of people talking about this PhD, that women, we pull each other down. I've
I really have awesome people like you all over around me. I'm not joking. I've been in massive rooms because another woman mentioned my name in that room. And I'm not saying it's not happening because we also cannot nullify other people's truths. But I do think as well it's been important for me to focus on people who want to work with you.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes, to your point, it's easy to be distracted and focus on people who don't want to work with you and miss the opportunity to focus on people who really like you and really want to work with you, right?
Yeah.
So I think it has also been a strength over the year to just avoid people who don't want to work with. They are not my people, and that's okay. But they are my people, and I'll work with my people.
Yeah. And the energy we
Absolutely.
spend
Absolutely.
on the people that don't want anything to do with us, as opposed to the energy that we spend with those that want to be with us, and they just make life seamless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make things easy.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you talk about, and I'm going back to Verve, I don't drink Verve myself, but I know Verve is very popular. Like it's known. I mean, it was inspiring to follow that journey. And I think I was traveling, but you were traveling before me, because I knew that was coming, and I was like, maybe it will be at the same time when we are that side, and then but it didn't work, so it's fine. But that stamp of approval, I mean, I think because of so perhaps talk to that award, because it's driven by femininity.
Yeah.
It's driven by being a woman. And why is that? I mean, I'd yet to get to understand the thinking behind those awards.
It's about that. It's about really celebrating women for who they are. And I think what I loved about the award, I remember when we were going through the process of being verified and the interviews, one of the judges said that we're not trying to get an impressive version of yourself. We want to connect to the Refilwe, the authentic Refilwe. And I mean, if it was a normal interview, the way interviews are classified, I could have failed dismally, because I cried. I spoke about my most vulnerable places. I spoke about my weaknesses. And the night of the announcement, I was the winner, right? But it also measures impact. It doesn't just measure the rands and cents. They really want to understand how is the business impacting the lives of people. And I think that is what's powerful about it. And even when you meet the Vevtliko family that I am part of now, it's like-minded women who are really in their own spaces, their own industries,
doing their own things,
are changing the lives of people.
Yeah. So here's one thing that sometimes I wonder, sometimes I look at you and I wonder if you understand, if you've actually sat down and you've looked back and said, this is the impact that I have made. You strike me as a person, you just keep going, you're just pushing. So I wonder sometimes if you ever take a step back and you say, and yes, you're a crier. I mean, the first time we saw each other, we were crying in my office. I'm a crier too. I'm a crier as well. But there's no way you would not have gone through and won that award if the criteria really is about being authentic, because that's who you are. You know, when I see your posts on LinkedIn, I can feel the energy. I can feel Refilwe. Like, I know this is Refilwe. I don't think I've ever seen a post where I looked at it and I thought, you know, I don't think I've ever felt that way. But I wanna go back to the impact. Do you have any idea?
So I'm I think it's still one of the uncomfortable part of who I am. Even my team criticized me for that. There's always the next level. And even when we were going through the Veflico process, I remember Amanda Dambuza said that to me, said that you need to pause and intentionally be proud of what you have done and know that you don't have to do anything else because you've done enough, and it's still it's something that I need to get through it. And the reason it's also because, so one of the business coaches I follow, she teaches a 24-hour rule. And she says 24 hours from winning or losing, we need to move on. Because if we stay too long after we get hurt or we get disappointed, then it can be destructive. But also after winning and we burst too long into the victory, then,
complacency may set in.
100%. So I think it's all those kind of things combined. But also generally, I'm very hard on myself. There is just always the next level. And once we reach a milestone, I always wonder, what's the next level?
So that was criticism, constructive criticism that came from my team at work, that on the day we just had this big thing, I'm already saying, okay, guys, and they're like, ma'am. So one of the things that I've been intentional about, and this is probably the second year, to celebrate the wins, to stop and celebrate the wins. We had a community activation last week, Thursday, and on Friday, I was not in a good space. And on Friday, I went to the office. The first thing I did was to send out an email to the rest of the team to say, thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for bringing yourself. The success of that event is testament of the relationships and the partnerships that you have built. Where we had a hall full of people, mostly women, who want to do good in the community, but do not have necessary funding to do anything. And we had long queues of people asking us questions and wanting to know, how do they do that? How do they get funding? So that's one thing that I'm working on. Now that I know that that's something that you need to work on, I'm going to hold you to that. Every time I see that you have reached a milestone, there's something to celebrate, I'm going to call you. And I'm going to say, have you taken time just to bask in this moment and celebrate?
I've never celebrated a birthday. I've never had a birthday celebration. For different reasons. I think also it's bittersweet because we're thinking of our triple sister that we lost. But exactly to that point, I'm not big in celebrating stuff, I mean, 31st of December is my birthday, and a lot of times I'm sitting somewhere in the Bundus with a pen planning for next year. For tomorrow.
For tomorrow. Not next year, tomorrow.
What is our strategy? What are we doing? And then all of that. So I'll appreciate you being an accountability partner.
No, I'll hold you to that. Because what leadership has taught me is that it's not about me. So when my team raised that, I had to snap out of it. To say, oh, okay, this is what I do. And this is who I am. But I am this person within a group of other people who are contributing towards this collective goal. So I stop myself and say, okay, this is what we've achieved this quarter. What are we doing? Picnic? Can we just do drinks after our monthly meeting and we sit? We don't talk work. We just check in about family and stuff like that. So I'm going to hold you accountable.
Awesome.
So you have spoken about women. I mean, it's quite clear to me that you have built your business and your career on the shoulders of these strongest women, I think the foundation is Nkgono and Mme.
Yeah.
You know, and I can imagine how strong they were, and for Mama to actually stay in a marriage, because she really wasn't staying for herself. She was staying for you guys, and she didn't know better. I mean, these days we're like, I'm taking my kids and I'm leaving, you know, but she, at that point in time, that was the best she could do, to say, I'm staying because I don't want my kids to be hungry, to not go to school, because the father is a provider. So you have a daughter that is watching all of this.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you want your daughter to, when she looks at you, that she'll say, my mom is this? Maybe not one.
She just never quit.
Okay.
That girl just never quit, no matter how hard it gets, right? We are the generation that doesn't draw back and it doesn't quit, you know, because I think that is important. But I think the other thing that I've been very intentional about, it's about integrity. You know, the other day I said to somebody, I want my daughter to know that you can build a business as a woman and never be accused of sleeping with anybody.
Gosh.
Right? So those are the things that I'm very, very passionate about. And not lose yourself. I think it still saddens me that every time women get in relationships, they're the first people to pack their own dreams away and then, you know, start building the dreams of
the family.
So I think it still saddens me, because I believe that God has called us as much as He has called men. Absolutely. All of us, we've got a call of God over our life. We've got a mandate that we need to fulfill. And I think we sell ourselves too short and we compromise ourselves, because just like my mom, we are not able to make our own independent decisions. We are dependent
on somebody. On somebody. So that lesson of independence becomes very critical.
And it's not toxic, Sis Mpumi, because I'm married. I don't think I could have achieved a lot of things I've achieved if it wasn't because of my husband. I always say I also have the privilege of gambling with business all the time, because I know that we're not going to be chased out of our home. My kids are not going to be chased out of school because my husband is there. So I'm also not advocating for this reckless, single, independent woman that we see. Because, but I'm saying that we shouldn't lose ourselves, right? And I also really have massive respect for women who have to raise children by themselves, because that's a situation they find themselves in. I respect them because I don't know how they do it. I really, really don't know how they do it. I mean, it's tough as it is having a secured household, and I don't know how you do it as a single woman. So I've got massive, massive respect for them.
So, have you made the younger Refilwe proud? Like, when you look in the mirror, and I really want you to think about this, because I don't want you to respond to it surface level. Because what this does is makes you really think about the impact that you've made, and not look on the side and say, oh, I'm just doing work and I'm just, you know. So I want you to think deeper about that.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm not winning.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But almost there.
And I do appreciate that there's a proverb that says sometimes we are building or planting the trees that we would never sit in, but the generation after us would probably enjoy the shade of the tree, right? But I think there's still so much work to be done.
Sure. And I also agree with that. I think the things we do now, they're not for us, right? They're not for us. But I want you to be proud of the journey that you've traveled and where you are going. I want you to look at yourself in the mirror.
I've got so many people like yourself who tell me I kick ass all the time. So
You do. You do. You absolutely do. You absolutely do.
So that's good enough, right?
Is that good enough?
That's
Okay.
good enough. I've got quite a lot of you who tells me every single day that, dude, and I'm very appreciative. I am. I think one thing that I'm very blessed is to really have powerful, authentic people around me. And that is my biggest flex.
Sure. You know, your energy just draws people in, right? That's what it does. And that's a gift.
Yeah.
That is a gift. And you just radiate it. Like sometimes I don't generally look at WhatsApp statuses. I'm not that person.
Yeah.
But one day I bumped into your thingies. I was laughing my head off. And I was like, oh my goodness, this woman. And I was just laughing. I was like, but where does Refilwe find the time to even post all these and comments and jokes and stuff? And I was just, but that's you.
That's just me.
That's just you.
That's me. And I think, honestly speaking, one thing that I can advise anybody, just be you.
Just be you.
Be.
Hey, me, I'm challenged, I must say. I need a lot of laughter in my life and a lot of joking and a lot of listening up. My kids always tell me I take myself too serious.
Yeah, so I think just be you, but most importantly, I think be with people who allow you to be you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of circles don't allow you to be yourself.
We've just had an amazing conversation with Refilwe Sebothoma. And on behalf of Unscripted with Nompumelelo, I'd like to thank her for sharing not only her business, but for sharing her heart, her history, and her vision for a brighter South Africa. You know, fam, we often take the flick of a switch for granted. We walk into a room, turn on the lights, and never think twice about it. But today, Refilwe has reminded us that for millions of people, energy isn't just utility, it's safety. It is time, it is dignity. What I'm taking away from this conversation is that the best solutions don't come from boardrooms. They come from lived experiences. They come from remembering where we come from, whether that's Marikana or any other community for that matter, and deciding that good enough is no longer enough. If today's episode sparked something in you, don't let it fade. Look up Hakem Energies, see the work they're doing, and maybe ask yourself, what is the darkness in your community that you have the power to lift up? Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Remember to stay unscripted.